Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Riderpiece Theater. Me, Alistair Dayhawk, and tonight, me proud to present Kamen Rider Gavv, episode 28. So, last week, we saw the debut of Kamen Rider Bake, and Bake is pretty much beating the holy hell out of poor Shoma, because we all know that Shoma is still sick, and he is mentally sick, so he couldn't fight Dr. Nick. But I also think that he was also holding back because this is the first time ever that he had to face a human, and he is supposed to be, a hero for humans. So I can understand, regardless if he wasn't mentally stressed. I do believe that Shoma will have a terrible time trying to defeat an enemy that is human. And so, Shoma and Hanto escaped from Dr. Nick, and this is the continuation as where, Shoma returns to the Happy Parade offices with Hanto, and he gives Sashika a call just to give her an update of what happened. And as Shoma was talking to Sashika, Hanto just stares at Shoma as he was talking, and you get to see, again, flashbacks of him, mistreating Shoma, and also remembering what Sashika told him about him being mentally stressed. And this is where we get to see Hanto shedding a tear, and he ends up disappearing. He just pulls a ninja on his own, and he just, leaves the office. And then Shoma finishes his call, and then he realizes, wait a minute, Hanto was here, he gone. So we quickly go to the next scene in the cave with Rakia and Sashika, and good for them. They're cleaning up Uncle Dente's cave, because at first his cave was messy as hell, but now out of the kindness of Sashika's heart, mostly her, I don't think that Kita will be interested in cleaning up the Ganyut that he almost murdered. They're both, helping Dente clean up his cave, while Dente himself is building his, driver for Hanto to use. And then the Kita thought that, you know what, I think it's time to pay Dr. Nick a visit. So this is funny, because after he made this decision of going to fight Dr. Nick at his office, he ends up taking his driver and his Kachizos back without Dente even knowing that he took because he quickly leaves, and then Dente just wait a minute, where's the driver at? It was here on my table. Where did it go? It was so funny. Everybody here is doing ninja acts. Seriously. It's just so funny. So we quickly go to the next scene, and poor Shoma, he is frantically searching for his man. And again, this is during the night. This is in the middle of the night. And so Shoma is frantically, searching for Hanto, and then we quickly go to Hanto, and the poor thing gets beat up by thugs. Yeah, he got beat up by thugs, and then he came to after the beatdown. Hanto returns to his boss's old office. And yeah, you could already tell what's going to happen here in this scene. So he returns to his old stomping grounds, and then he starts to remember his time with his boss, remembering the good old days. And then it leads to, the whole, it should have been me. So he starts to cast blame upon himself. He's hitting himself with this board. He is punching the board. He's looking at an old photo of him and his mentor, and he is yelling and screaming that it should have been me. I should have been the one that died. If I was there with him, or would have told him, hey, you know what, I will take this case, you stay here, I will go, do it for you, then he will still be alive. But the thing is here, I'm going back to Star Wars here, for those who have seen Star Wars A New Hope, I'm going to quote Obi-Wan here. And this is the scene where Luke returns from witnessing, the massacre that it was, his home, with his aunt and uncle killed and all that by the stormtroopers. So he returns from witnessing that god-awful scene, and Obi-Wan tells Luke, there's nothing that you could have done, Luke. You could have been killed too, and the droids would have been with the Empire. Same case here. If I were to tell Hanto, Hanto, there's no way, it wouldn't make a difference if you were with him or not. He could have been killed too. You could have been killed too. And sure, you could say, well, maybe if Hanto would have been there, then the Ganyu at the time would think twice of killing, the boss. Because, of course, if he ends up killing Hanto too, that means no bonus dark treats and all that. But you never know. I mean, this Ganyu could have gone rogue. The thing is, you will never know. And also, Hanto could have been killed too. So, as Hanto is really casting blame upon himself, punching the wall, hitting himself with the head at the board, Shoma shows up, thanks to a scout Kachizo, and he just tells Hanto to stop hurting himself. And then this is where Hanto knocks him down, and then we finally get to see what he really felt about himself concerning Shoma. And it all comes back to the dozen times that he'd been constantly losing all the time as Valen. How many wins did he have before he got his hands on the Dark Choco? Like maybe 2-3 times? That's it? And he just not really lashing out at Shoma as usual, but he's just he is like a broken man right now, because he said that, why are you still with me? You're a Ganyu. Well, technically he's a half Ganyu because he's half human and half Ganyu, but why are you still with me? You're a Ganyu. I'm the one who's dragging you down. I am weak. I shouldn't be the one to mistreat you the way that I did a couple of episodes ago. It's not right, especially when you didn't do anything wrong. I'm the idiot. I'm the weak one. You should leave me. And you see him on his knees, crying his eyes out, and poor Shoma, he is surprised to what he heard, because I'm sure Shoma doesn't think Hanto is weak at all. He never felt that he was dragging him down. But to hear him say that to him, I'm sure he's like, I'm sorry, I didn't know you felt that way. Well, Rakia was more like, dude, you should get rid of Hanto because he's the weak one. I mean, he's going to drag us down. That was him. That was all him. But Shoma was like, no, I can't just dump him like that. Me and Hanto have been together since the very beginning. I can't just leave him, right? But to see him, confess to Shoma, he's just like, oh man, I'm so sorry. And then you could see him I wish Shoma could have hugged him instead of just patting him in the back like he did in that scene. I just wish he could have just hugged him and just said, what, just let it out. Let it out. Before I go to the next scene, I want to say this. the actor who plays Hanto did very well in this episode, especially during the emotional scenes like this one, because as an actor, doing those type of scenes can really drain you out emotionally. And I'm curious how many takes it took to, to do that scene. Hopefully not a lot, but for doing a scene like that, it takes a lot out of you. So kudos to him. And then I want to add this too. It's a shame that, I got what I wanted, where he ends up confessing to Shoma how he really felt about himself. But the thing was, we all know that Dark Choco Valen came for a cup of tea. We're never going to see that form ever again. And I don't want to repeat myself here, but I want to say, Gavv Creative, I just don't understand why they were in a rush. I wish we could have seen more of Dark Valen and really see Hanto have that attitude change and be obsessive over the Dark Choco, and seeing Shoma, Sashika, and Nikita just looking at this person that is not Hanto, this is corrupting him. And then we end up, with Shoma, begging Hanto to stop using those gachizos. It's making you sick. Please let me help you. And then that's where he starts confessing. But we got that here. But it's too bad that we're not going to see Choco Valen ever again. Which, again, it was an opportunity. They could have just went a little bit longer and then retire it, but I don't know. And there's another issue I'm planning to discuss later. For those who've seen the episode, knows what I'm gonna be talking about in the end. So, yeah. But that's something I wanted to add. So after the confession, poor Hanto and all that, we go back to the cave, and this is just a short scene. Sashika finishes cleaning up Dente's cave with a couple of laws of living habits and cleaning. I thought those were a nice touch. Yeah, so that was just a short scene between, Sashika cleaning up the cave and then having a mini talk with Dente. And, Dente said that, the reason that I'm doing this is because Hanto really had Shoma's back, so this is my way of thanking him for all those times. So, yeah. So we go to Shoma and Hanto. Shoma buys Hanto a chocolate what's it called? Flet, I think it's pronounced, or Flemicino. You guys know what I'm talking about, but if I butcher it, so sorry. Fillet, in the hopes of curing Hanto's sorrows. But this is also a funny scene too, because as he gives Hanto the chocolate Felicino, whatever, fillet, Hanto says, I'm not really a fan of sweets. He doesn't like sweets. And he mentions that in this situation right now, I think giving someone a warm drink, it fits the situation. But the thing is, though, Shoma is pretty much following Sashika's advice in terms of, look, if you see someone that's sad, usually ice cream cures the soul. And that's what he is trying to do for Hanto. But Hanto's like, no, not in this case. I need something warm. And I don't like sweets. So, that poo-pooed everything. But, what makes it funny is when he sat next to Hanto. He was literally leg meets leg as they were sitting. And you guys know, hopefully you watched the episode of what I'm trying to explain. He sat way too close to Hanto, and you could tell that Hanto was feeling a little bit uncomfortable, so he ends up moving a couple of inches away from Shoma. It's just funny. Hanto's facial reactions just tells it all, like, oh crap, Shoma, you're sitting way too close to me, so I need to, sit a little bit, inches away from you. Not too far away, but we're just, really, really close. So after that awkward moment, Shoma takes a couple of sips. He goes to food heaven, and Shoma tells Hanto that, what, it's not your fault. Everything that's happened to you up to this point, it's not your fault. You were taken advantage of. And yeah, it's not your fault. You didn't know about this man. And you were in a vulnerable spot after, your mentor passed away. Dr. Nick was the one who came in and offered you a chance to, kill off Ganyutz, How could you know that he had an ulterior motive? It's not your fault. But Hanto feels like, look, even still, I feel like it's still my fault. And then Shoma mentions, yeah, I understand the feeling all too well. And then once again, Hanto relives the memories, or either Hanto or Shoma, remembers his memories of him, begging Hanto that, look, it's, I'm sorry, it's my fault. I should have known better, or it's my fault that I didn't tell you the truth, that sort of thing, right? And so, to finish this scene up, Shoma adds, like, the only way to break the cycle of sadness is to face it and move forward. It's almost as if he's saying to Hanto and to everybody else watching the episode is to face your pain and just move forward. Pain or no pain, move forward with your life. And that's pretty much it. Now we go to the offices of Dr. Nick. So Dr. Nick, is doing God knows what. Like, he's doing a checkup on something, because remember, his arm was starting to wither out. And then we get to see Bizarro looking at the computer screen and asking Dr. Nick, his master, what is it? Is that what I think it is? And then Dr. Nick says, yeah, that's my research, to create the ultimate life form. And basically, he wants to create the ultimate life form that is immortal, that it cannot die, it doesn't age, nothing can kill it. It is trying to create something immortal. And then Rakia shows up. Rakia shows up, and quickly he just like, yeah, you're a bad, like, I learned a lot about humans, and so far you're the worst of the humans that I ever met. So, and Dr. Nick was like, now you show up? First I had Hanto, then I had Shoma last week, and now I have you? Really? I mean, you have the complete set, Dr. Nick, so you can't complain. And so Dr. Nick was like, look, I have no time to entertain you, so I'm going to have Bizarro here to entertain you while I make my escape. And this is where, guys, if you notice, before he ran away, he took his flash drive containing his research. Then he ran away. So that flash drive is going to be very important in the future. Watch out for that flash drive. So we see Dr. Nick running away, and then you have Bizarro entertaining Rakia, and they're trashing the office. Now this is supposed to be like an emotional episode, but I can't help but to see funny moments. Like, Hanto, sitting close to Shoma, and he's like, no, let me sit a couple of inches away, to this weird transition. Okay. Dr. Nick runs away from his office, right? But then we get to the next scene here where you see Hanto and Shoma after finishing up their frappuccinos. You see them walking, and then all of a sudden Dr. Nick shows up out of nowhere. So I don't know whose idea was like, oh, this should be a great idea. We're going to have Dr. Nick run away, and then we're going to put this scene here, and Dr. Nick shows up. Of course, you guys would be like, well, Dayhawk, are you just nitpicking again? But come on, guys. It's just, we've seen TV, a lot of, movies that, like these kind of shots, it's just like, what? So Dr. Nick runs away, then immediately shows up in the next scene. And what's even more funny and weird is, how in the hell did Dr. Nick know where Shoma and Hanto were at? There's no way, unless he has a cell phone with, tell me where to find, hey Siri, where can I find Hanto? Like, I don't know, guys. It may be nitpicking, but come on, everybody would be asking, like, what just happened? So Dr. Nick, from his office to the stadium, shows up where Hanto and Shoma were and wants Hanto back. And, he goes by saying, like, you need me, right? Like, come on, come back and I'll give you more power. Come on, come back to me. And Hanto says, no, I will no longer rely on you anymore. And of course, Dr. Nick says, you know what? I will not quit you. I will not quit you, Hanto. We've been through it all so much together. I've seen you evolve, become stronger. Come on. I'm not going to give you up. So if I had to beat you down and take your living corpse to the office, I will do that. But you're one way or the other, you're coming home with me. So he turns into Bake, but then Shoma intervenes. He turns into his cake form, and then he summons his motorcycle for Hanto to escape, and which he does. And we immediately go from the stadium to the cave where Hanto just, magically appears. He tells Dente and Tsushika what happened, and he needs something to fight against Dr. Nick because Shoma is out there getting his booty whoop, his his cool whip, whooped. And so this is where Hanto spots, the copy of Nikita's driver, and he's wondering, why is his driver doing here? And then this is where Dente tells him, well, I made it for you because, I'm concerned that if you use your gun, it might strain your heart again. So I made this driver for you to make the transformation into Valen run smoother and it doesn't stress your heart out. And he's all happy, like, thank you, Gramps, and takes the driver in the Cachizo. And before he leaves completely, he notices a bag of treats. And he grabs some and he just goes away, leaving Tsushika all happy, knowing that Hanto and Shoma are back together. The bromance has returned. This is like the second time, but yeah. Tsushika's all happy, and I think she was in tears as well. Like, she is rooting for Hanto and Shoma to get back together. So as Hanto takes his leave with a bag of goodies, we immediately go to the beatdown, and then And then Hanto returns to Shoma, to his man, and Hanto tells Shoma that, leave this doctor, this crazy mad scientist to me. And then he uses the driver with embarrassing effects because he puts it on and he, inserts the Kachizo and he does the Henshin and nothing happens. It just just crickets. And it's funny, Hanto's like, wait a minute, did I do it right? Like, come on, like, hey, oi, come on, you're embarrassing me. And then he realizes that the Kachizo that he took wasn't a Kachizo at all, it was just empty. And then we immediately go back to the cave, and Dente is in tears because, look, he created the driver, but in terms of the Kachizos, he realizes that Nave is smarter than Dente, and he is much younger than Dente is, and he ends up in tears and disgrace because he couldn't create the Kachizos. Oh, no. Yeah, so that happened. So now that Hanto cannot transform with an empty Kachizo, he thought that the next best thing is to just fight Dr. Nick the way that he is in civilian form. And this reminds me a whole lot of Sabimaru versus Dread at the Dr. Mabi's laboratory. But in that fight, Sabimaru was fighting the monster that he was forced to become. In this one, he's fighting the monster that he kind of trusted, but knowing that he is a monster, that he killed so many people, he was the one who orchestrated his mentor's death. It's just horrible. So he just, start punching him and giving him headbutts, but obviously, he can't do much. I'm a little bit skipping ahead, but Shoma, demorphs after the beatdown, and then Hanto takes over. He decides to fight him. He punches him with zero effects, and then Hanto, still continues to fight Dr. Nick. And then during the fight, Dr. Nick, tells Hanto that he is the key in creating the ultimate life form. But Hanto doesn't want to hear anything about this stupid ultimate life form thing and tells him, like, screw you. I will never come back to you. I'm going to make you pay for the people you have hurt, for the people you have killed, for all the dark Bizarros, the evil Shomas, for teaming up with Nave. Everything you have done, you're gonna pay. I'm gonna make you pay. And then, we get immediately to the scene where he is on the ground and just yelling, and the actor, in the eyes, they were all red. Like, damn, he must have cried a lot because his eyes were all red. You can tell from that scene. And, he's yelling like, I'm gonna defeat you no matter what. And then we get this scene where Dr. Nick, with a fire punch, was about to kill him with that punch. But luckily Shoma, intercepted it, pushes it away, and which saves Hanto. And then we get to see the team up between the bromance between Shoma and Hanto, and Shoma joins in and punches Dr. Nick, but of course nothing happens, right? But this is a cool scene that happens here where Dr. Nick punches Shoma enough to take him to the sky, and then you see Hanto saving him from the impact. I thought it was a cool scene right there where Shoma gets punched, gets flipped up in the air. As he was falling, Hanto sees that he's gonna get hit pretty badly, so he ends up saving him. I thought it was very cool. And then all of a sudden, after saving Shoma, we get to see the arrival of the new Kachizo, the Choco flat Kachizo. And this one, I think, talks as well. And, Shoma gives it to Hanto. And then we get to see the debut of his new form, the Flap Valen. Before I move on to the next scene, I have to say, I like the suit. It's a good updated version of Valen with the straw on the back, the gold, and the, yellow or gold, whatever, and then the brown. I mean, I like it. I like it a lot. So we get to see the birth of a new Valen, and then we go back to the offices of Dr. Nick. Rakia is still fighting, Bizarro, and then we get to this scene. Well, we're still in the scene, but Rakia stumbled across this nursery room. And not only because you see this room full of baby stuff, and then you see what's ahead of the baby stuff, which is like a tank full of evil Shomas. And he's about to destroy that tank. And Bizarro was begging Rakia, please do not destroy this room, because supposedly it's the most precious room in the entire house. But of course Rakita's not gonna do it. So he ends up shooting not only the tank but also destroying the clone at the same time. And you see all the water coming out, and Rakia picks up a baby sock, wondering what the hell is this, and he ends up leaving. And then we get to see the picture frame on the floor with the picture of Dr. Nick holding the baby. Now, I want to add this too before I move forward to the next scene. That baby could be K, or it could be a son that he lost. One of those two. But something tells me that the baby that he is holding on that picture could be K. Because remember, K was in the computer screen next to Hanto and Bitter Gavv. So, yeah, something tells me it's a picture of K. I could be wrong. We don't know yet. But that's what I assume that the baby is K. Okay, so we move on to the fatal fight between, Hanto versus Dr. Nick. And I have to say, this was a cool fight, because this told a story, and it went from fighting outside full of ice punches and ice kicks to moving the fight from the outside into a library, and it got turned into a Western shootout. And and they were following the Alec Baldwin rule, but nothing. But in any case, they were having a shootout at the library, and then they came out from the library, and Dr. Nick was very impressed with his new form and his new fighting ability. He was impressed of the results of this new form and then this is where he makes his final plea. Like, Hanto, I'm impressed of how you are evolving now. Can you please come back? He makes his final plea, and Hanto was like, hell no, there's no way I'm coming back to you. Like, I will become strong my own way. I don't need you. You are a monster. There's no way in hell I'm gonna rely on you ever again. And then it leads up to, Hanto giving his last finisher to Dr. Nick. And Dr. Nick was like, Hanto, you don't understand. Like, he was like, Hanto, you listen to me, you idiot. And then he was about to shoot him in the back, but then, he turned into ice. And then Hanto delivers the final blow, and, he was punched into oblivion. And that was pretty much it there. And then we get to the next scene after the defeat of Dr. Nick, and also having this moment between Hanto and the piece of his boss, like, I did it for you, boss, like, now you can rest in peace, and all that stuff. So after the battle, you see Shoma carrying Hanto on his back, and as he was walking, Hanto says, and I quote, we could pretend that like nothing ever happened, but things are still complicated between us for a while. But I really like you. Hear that? I really do like you. And this is where Shoma, turned his, not frown, but the moment he heard that I like you, that's when he was smiling. And then his stomach started to growl because he hadn't eaten all day. And that's where Hanto gives a gummy and just puts it in Shoma's mouth, and like, here, eat it. And he got energized right away, and accidentally drops Hanto on his butt. And he just quickly apologizes and like, no, don't worry about it. It's fine. Like, here, I got you a bag full of gummies so you can eat. And so he gives the bag to Shoma and tells Shoma, hey, let's buy dinner and let's just invite the boss and we could eat it, at her office. And so, yeah. And Hanto asks Shoma, like, what is it that you want to eat for dinner? Potato chips. Wait, that's a snack. So there, the bromance has returned. The BL drama of Kamen Rider is back on, and they're going to buy dinner and gonna eat it with Sashika. And then we get to the last scene. So we get to Dr. Nick, that he looked like he survived that, blow. And he is in some alley somewhere, some ditch somewhere. And you hear background music of a baby nursery rhyme. And Dr. Nick is singing along with that nursery rhyme. And then we get a flashback of Dr. Nick holding a baby that could be K or maybe his actual son. I don't know. And then he says, in the end, humans are such weak creatures. And then Nabe shows up, agreeing to what he said, and ends with, don't worry, I will take over from here. And that's how the episode ends. Okay. So as much as I want to say, it was a very good episode, but I can't do that because of what I know about Dr. Nick. People say that he's unconscious or he's dead. Like, these questions are like, is he unconscious? Is he dead? Well, I'm here to tell you guys that it's been confirmed, and I saw this online, that there's a picture going around, and I will show it here, of Dr. Nick, well, the actor who plays Dr. Nick, and the actor who plays Shoma and Nabe. All three of them were all together, and they were doing the thing, the pointing, and Dr. Nick was holding a bag. And what I read was that it was the last episode, the last scene Dr. Nick shot. So instead of flowers, he got his bait gun. So it's official. Dr. Nick is officially dead, and the actor, got his flowers and he got his, applause. He's not coming back. And this is where I had a problem. And this is and the problem lies in the story, in the character itself, because you just debuted Dr. Nick in his writer form, Kamen Rider Bake, last week, and then this week you killed him off. And I never, at least for me, I'm talking for myself here. I'm not sure if you guys are the same way, but to me, it felt like, why did you kill him off so soon? Why? Because there were so many things we still don't know about Dr. Nick as to why he is so obsessed about making this ultimate life form. Who is that baby? Is it K, or is it his actual son that tragically passed away? Why? And why did he team up with Nave? When he told Hanto and the audience that he is a Ganyut researcher. I hate Ganyuts. I want to see him dead. Why did he team up with Nave for if your enemy is Ganyuts? Unless Dr. Nick told Hanto what he wanted to hear, which made Hanto really join his side. Yeah. It's just, I wish, you could have killed him off, in the tail end of the 30s arc heading into the 40s. Because he could have done a lot more damage, and maybe we could have learned more about why he wants to create his ultimate life form, learn more about the baby, why did he did what he did, which, he was obviously killing people for the name of his research and to improve himself. And also he saw Hanto as someone, he's the only one, capable of withstanding, my wacky experiments and become stronger for it. I want him by my side. But it's just, again, I felt like there was so much more to learn about Dr. Nick before giving him that final, giving him that walk into the sunset moment. It's just, I find it so disappointing because, again, I wish there was more for him to do. And you just debuted his rider form, so why kill him off in the next episode? That's the frustrating part for me. So, I don't know, you guys, do you feel the same way? Or do you think that, yeah, it was time for him to go? That's it. Because, it was time. To me, it wasn't time. To me, it felt like there was more story. There's lots of things for Dr. Nick to do. But, the writers decided that they needed to kill him off. But it's just a shame. And it's equivalent to, bad Choco Valen that only came for a cup of tea. And that was disappointing as well. But remember, Kay is still out there. We haven't heard baby crying in that scene when Nikita bursts into that room with Gavv, bitter Gavv. So where is the baby now? And also, that flash drive. The flash drive is still in Dr. Nick's pocket. So I wouldn't be surprised that Nave discovers that flash drive and learns, about Dr. Nick's research. So I wouldn't be surprised that he will carry on Dr. Nick's research. I wouldn't be surprised of that at all. But it's just, again, the flash drive is very important. And now the question is, are there still evil Shomas out there? I refuse to believe that they're all dead. I still think that there is maybe one or two. Two maybe is no, I don't think there's two left out there, but I'm just going to make a random, an estimated guess that there's definitely going to be one out there, but two, that's a huge maybe. So I'm just going to say one or two clones left that are still out there. So can you imagine the idea if one of those clones decide to join forces with the Stomach Mafia, which, by the way, next episode, they make their triumphant return. And not just them, but also Jeeb after, a month? A month of not showing up in episodes. And then I will tell you about it in the preview. Like, he shows up and with a girl and tells his family, "Oh, I got married." So for a month, like, you were trying to get married? What? This is just completely random, especially when he and Sheeta was like, "No, I'm not going to get married. We're going to stay together no matter what." But now that Sheeta's dead, I mean, that all changed. But at least Gavv is back. But I'm just, come on, writers, come on, creative. Like, you could have at least gave us a couple of scenes of what's Gavv doing. Like, we didn't get that makeover or change of attitude after Sheeta died, because we saw him cutting his hair, and I thought that, oh man, this is gonna be serious now. He's gonna cut his hair, new clothes, he's gonna be out for revenge. Nope, still the same. I'm like, ugh, writers, I don't know, man. You were doing great so far, but with Dr. Nick being killed off so quickly and Gavv being missing for a month or two, like, and also with Dark Valen, you really miss good opportunities, man. You really did. But that's just me, guys. That's just me. But ultimately, the most important thing, the bromance has returned, hopefully for good. Shoma and Hanto are back together again, and Rakia is, still grumpy as ever, still lazy as ever, and Sashika is pretty much telling Dente off, like, you better be cleaning up your cave, and that's why I gave you some laws. And Dente is still crying that he couldn't make his own cachizos, but at least, here's the thing. Now that Shoma can create those special cachizos that now Hanto needs to use, and also with Rakia, if he starts eating flan, I'm sure he could pop out a couple cachizos for Rakia. But if it ends up being Dente, that's fine too, because, I mean, I want Dente to create more cachizos for Rakia, especially when he tried to murder Shoma's uncle out of a fit of rage. Like, oh, and remember last week, like, oh, I'm the guy that you almost murdered. That's so funny. Oh my God. I mean, there's no such thing as a perfect show, right? But, I mean, like I said, I don't want to keep repeating myself because this video is going to be long, but I just didn't like how we didn't get to learn more about Dr. Nick and more of his reasons as to why he's so obsessed in creating the ultimate life form. Why did he tag team with Nabe knowing that he's a Gainute and he hates Gainutes? It's just, I wish they didn't kill him off so quickly, but that's just me. Like, you could have just killed him off at episode 39 or something, but it is what it is. And then, Hanto is at peace now. He pretty much, he's at peace with Shoma. He gave his boss the peace that he deserved, and, all's well that ends well. But poor Dente, he is still crying in the cave. But hey, the Stomach Mafia has made his triumphant return from the character closet, along with Gavv and his married wife, and yeah. In any case, give me your thoughts and opinions of this episode, and also give me your thoughts and opinions about the new suit. I like it. The gold and the brown, it's good. I like it. And also give me your thoughts and your opinions about the demise of Dr. Nick, which, I don't like it. That's why this episode, just the execution was bad, only because of Dr. Nick's demise. And yeah, that's it. I mean, give me your thoughts and opinions about those things. give a like if you like, and please subscribe. And also, if I miss anything, again, write in the comments below. And yeah, give a like and subscribe, and I will see you all on the other side of oblivion, guys. Johnny! Also, rest in peace, Dr. Nick, who, unfortunately, I will never get the chance to hear him say the words, "Hi, everybody," or "I am the science." Yeah. Johnny!